can't go to summer camp and
play Gaga ball
and sit in a room that's 90 degrees and they don't have the stamina anymore, and that's okay. But you know what? They can sit at home and they can pray. They can pour over names and intercede on their behalf, on students' behalf, as they're at summer camp, as they're at RD now, as their students are doing things, and then at the same time, students can pray for them. And so that's been an awesome thing to see. This past year, I had we call them our Happy 39ers because they're now over 39, but it's our senior adult ministry, and I gave them each, asked them to take a name. I didn't make them. I just asked them to take a name if they'd be willing to pray over it. And so my hope and prayer, if the Lord allows it in my schedule, is to in the next week or two go up there to their meeting and just basically say, this is the fruit that we had this past year. And there's, 7 to 10 kids that got saved and people surrendering their life to ministry. And it's I firmly believe because they were interceding on these students' behalf. And so now they're able to have a little bit of ownership in the younger generation that's coming and say, man, God used me to impact their life. And it was and it's not just prayer. Like they interceded on their behalf and answered prayers that were being spoken over them. And so just letting them see that. And I think that will bring cohesiveness alone. We had a mission camp and I had some of our deacons come. That was awesome to see the deacons so uncomfortable trying to talk to a teenager. But that was building unity. They took the teenagers to the widows' homes. And so now we're building unity and cohesiveness with the widows. And so it's just, I think we have to model it. We have to model it in our ministry separately, but then model it together. But it has to come separate. We have to be willing to do that. And I think that's where it starts.
Before you chime in, Ben, I was thinking and through what you said, that Corwin, a great example, I think, of modeling that actually is right next to me. Sarah was willing to, this summer at one point where there was no children's activities on a Wednesday night, that we just had youth and we were kind of short some people, and she was excited and willing to kind of step in on a Wednesday night. And I think that kind of thing, I think even having us as leaders be willing to step into each other's ministries, I think is a great way to exemplify that.
Absolutely. Yeah, and Ben's preached many times in the student ministry. Yeah, I agree, and we just have to model it.
Yeah, and as Corwin was saying this, I was just kind of reviewing in my mind even things he didn't mention, but I think he has done that well. And he sat down with this one couple, and I think they were not the only couple, but senior adult couple about coming and serving in the student ministry, and they said, we really want to, just right now our health will not allow us to, and the husband had to care for the wife some more, but he really has made strides to do that, probably, and I think better than I have. I've have personal relationships with senior adults in our church. We don't have as many serving in children's ministry. Some of them maybe trying to chase down small children, but but it is something that I need to just as I hear this and think, I need to push further there. So guys, how do we communicate this cohesive vision to our students and to our kids and to the wider church? Corwin, what do you think?
Like I said, I think it just goes back to modeling, and just having those strategic times to communicate that specifically to the parents. I think anytime we as ministers and pastors have the opportunity to have FaceTime with parents in a big setting, we got to take it. But I think we also have to be humble and willing enough to clear our schedule if a parent needs to meet and run with that. Or students and kids, it's trickier. It's a lot trickier, because that's probably not too good if you go pick up, little Billy who's in third grade and you take him to lunch. That's kind of creepy, but but just taking those opportunities and any chance you get, just let it come out in conversation, as well as in the big group setting. It's just got to come out, and it's people are going to see how you live, and so I think if you're living in that way, that will give validity to when you speak it to them.
Sarah, how about you? I mean, I imagine I know one thing you're going to say, but how do we get this across to everyone that we're ministering to and with?
Yeah. I think one example that I've just seen recently since Tony's come on staff, he's been very intentional about taking our teens out to lunch as he's kind of getting to know them and just, showing them in word and deed that he cares about them, wants to know them personally. That's something that, he can do with the older kids. I remember when I was a kid myself, we had a children's pastor or youth pastor. On occasion, he would show up at our school in the cafeteria at lunchtime. I don't know if that would be welcome these days, but if it was, if you could establish a relationship with a administration at your local schools and say, hey, if I've got permission from our kids' parents, can I come in and eat lunch with them? And wow, they're like a superhero. My youth pastor is here, or my children's pastor is here to eat lunch with me. And wow, just what modeling you are doing there to show these kids that you love them and want to be. You're interested in their lives. I thought of that specifically, but yeah, communication, I bring it up over and over and over because it's such a challenge, and especially with the different generations. We've got kids and parents who are very comfortable with social media. I've seen a lot of improvement with communication in our women's ministry when we established a closed Facebook group that's just for women of our church, and we can share prayer requests. We can share encouraging articles or songs that we've heard, or we can enlist meals for a new mom. We can share upcoming Bible studies, those kind of things. And I think for those who are, for lack of a better term, like a little bit tech savvy, you know how to use the internet, you can email or get on social media. That's going to be, a kind of the communication of the future. But then I know that excludes some of our membership who aren't comfortable on a computer, that don't like to use computers. They'd rather have that face-to-face. And I think, face-to-face is always the best way to go. So, but when I know our folks are so super busy, especially our families, whether they've got, kids, teenagers, college students, they have, 27 things scheduled in a day and not enough hours in the day to complete them. So I think, utilizing social media in a positive way, is something that's it's going to become more and more important, I think.
Good. Yeah, that's helpful.
Mm-hmm. I think to add to that too, I think a way that we communicate it to the whole church as well is through shared events. We've talked some about shared events, but, even for, right when I came on staff, we tried to have a shared event. We had and we canceled Wednesday night kids ministry and youth group, and we decided to kind of just have a barbecue and talk to each other and hang out and kind of lay out vision together. So it wasn't a youth ministry event. It wasn't a children's ministry event. It was a together event to show that, we're in a game together. We are not two mutually exclusive segments of the church. We are not two churches within the church, but we instead are one collective vision in that kind of sense.
And that was very well received. We've gotten great feedback from that. So
yeah. So, but I think in that as well, knowledge of one another. That, I think it's a shame. So many children in youth ministry leaders have no idea what one another are doing within the same church and what's being emphasized, what's being taught at nights. And even if, we don't have a direct correlation, even if children's ministry is studying Matthew on Wednesday night and youth ministry is studying Genesis, to have that awareness and to try to make some connections there and to talk and to interact between.
That's good. Now, Tony, for that, did you bring out your smoker and cook the meat?
I did not.
So she knows about this?
We wish.
No, we did not. Actually, I had her over for some brisket not long ago, so I've really earned Sarah's favor here. That
good stuff.
Yeah, quick story. Tony and I used to share a duplex in Kentucky, and so his parents got him a smoker for Christmas or something, and he'd be out there in the backyard smoking all day, and that you just the aroma of the meat just filled
Your neighbors
the air.
hated you. They absolutely hated you.
He always did include us in the meat.
Well,
so.
Good.
I'm generous like that.
Oh, it's a beautiful thing.
That's all that humility.
That's right. That's right.
Now, how do we especially do this with parents as we emphasize them being the primary disciplers?
You've probably seen, I've seen this great illustration, and you have to do it in large group settings where you've got the attention of parents and volunteers. I've seen this great illustration with the gumballs. Have you guys seen the gumballs?
I've seen one with like marbles or
gumballs, and how many hours that we have them in a given year versus how many hours their parents have them in a given year. And it's just you have to just get their parents' attention. Like, listen, if we are the primary disciplers of your children, there literally are just not enough hours in the year to bring across all of the Bible knowledge and discipleship that they need. And so this has to be coming from you as their parents. This has to be the priority of your family, and just conveying that to parents. Like I said, with my idea of the 20-year calendar, it's not my idea. I have to give credit to just a great lady that I heard about it from Precepts Ministries. She was the recipient of a 20-year calendar when her kids were in high school, and that just impressed upon her so much that this is her being the primary disciple of her kids, she and her husband, that their time was so limited, so they had to they just had to have a plan and a goal for their family, that there are wonderful things that we can have our family involved in, but we have to prioritize. This time is so short and so precious. So giving them very visual examples of the priority of time and how it is drawing to a close, and just sending that message home to them.
Yeah, I completely agree. We do a similar illustration here, but we use black beads, and we do how many weeks until they turn 18.
That's great.
And so, like, from birth till 18, they have 936 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's not on the top of my head. Ben has it on a tape thing right there. So,
but man, this guy's good.
But yeah, but if you've got it, in a prominent place in your ministry, so that they are often reminded,
That's
those months
idea.
are ticking away.
Good
and
idea.
Yeah.
And so, and then, but I think as well, another way is providing them resources to do that. And that are outside of the Bible. They're biblically influenced, but giving them like a, Paul David Tripp's parenting book.
Yes.
Ben does a phenomenal job at offering these parent equipping seminars and classes during the Sunday school hours. So it's not even an extra day they have to come up. They just got to come up to Sunday school, and he has those. He does a great job with that. He offers parenting and marriage classes over the weekend sometimes. It'll be like a live stream. And so he does a great job with that. And, I'm a very relational person. That's just how God wired me. And so, like, there's a dad that reached out to me, which praise the Lord that he had the, God gave me the favor that he felt confident to reach out to me. And I was meeting with him, kind of funny. I said once a week, and he took it as twice a week. I was trying to say twice a month, because I was trying to clear. And he said, "All right, so twice a week. So let's do it." Well, and I said, "Oh, okay." And so we did it, and and it was good. But just to see his growth, why we met was a crisis, and it was crunch time, and he needed to get right, and he gets right, and he starts growing, and he starts looking for other ways to encourage others in the Lord, and he was trying to take that discipleship role. But I think just not being afraid to go to a parent and say, and intentionally pour into them. I think that's crucial, because I think a big reason why parents are not discipling their kids because they've never been discipled themselves.
Yes,
That's good.
absolutely.
So not being afraid